Namaste, right here with me, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches, as I chat with that man right there who just blessed all of us. Isn't that lovely? We just got our blessing, which really is my province. Gary, you keep your hands off the blessing part. I do this. But we have with us in the neighborhood playwright and novelist Gary Morgenstein. He is the author of, oh my God, several other pieces, including A Tomato Can't Grow in the Bronx. I get it, but we have to talk about that. And also 2 novels of dystopian futuristic baseball fiction, my favorite genre, including a book called A Fastball for Freedom. But most importantly is that a week and a half from now, at the Tank Theater on West 36th Street, you can watch Gary's play, A Black and White Cookie, which has an important radical leftist Jewish character, which I'm not necessarily, but also talking to a Schwarzer man about politics, about life in New York. Ladies and gentlemen, won't you please welcome to the neighborhood, Gary Morgenstein. Shalom, Gary.
Shabbat shalom, Rabbi. How are you?
I am good. It's good to see you. You're looking good. You must be thrilled. This is a play that was supposed to be off-Broadway. Oh, I don't know, like March, April of 2020.
Yep.
Go figure.
Man plans, God laughs.
This is true. This is
it. We got canceled the week before, and look, more than 5 million people died. I'm not going to fetch about that. But God works his wonders in mysterious ways. And now here we are at the Tank. We're going to be opening July 14th.
Toy. You were supposed to open July 9th.
I don't want to give a kudahara anymore. The play is even more timely than it was, because it's a play about that there's more that unites us than divides us.
Really?
Yes, I do think so. Yes. And it's through the friendship between this gruff conservative African-American newsstand owner who finally reopens his newsstand in the East Village after getting shut down from COVID, only to get hit by a huge rent increase, which he can't afford. So he's going to close and retire. Enter a Meshuggah communist Jew, Albie Sands, who says you must fight back. Now, they overcome their differences, including anti-Semitism. And what the play looks at, the play uses anti-Semitism because no one else is writing about it, so I might as well. You think maybe to look at what happens when good people are prejudiced. And that's what the play is about. I'm not worried. I don't know about you, Rabbi. I don't remember the last time I saw some neo-Nazis outside my bagel place. It's the good people who look away. It's the good people who say, well, you know how those people are.
I say that about those people all the time.
Right.
Oh, God.
Because everyone's those people. So that's what it's about.
Let's be honest, particularly the Puerto Ricans. But we'll get on to that later. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking, of course. Just teasing with you there. But no, but have you... This play has had readings, and it's been done in other places too. And it's even there's a couple of ways on YouTube that you can watch parts of the play as well. So it's been. Have you ever had this thing now, because everybody's so pardon the expression, fucking woke at the moment, that how dare you, a middle-aged Jewish man, write a black character? Have people commenting on it? It's like, no problem. Yeah, of course you can write the Jewish guy, but how dare you try to impose your background in writing to create a black man?
No, because of the 3 leads, 2 African American. No one has ever said anything. When we premiered, we finally premiered in October at Silver Spring Stage outside Washington. The director was was a black woman. No one ever said, because it's not about that. I'm not telling the story, a black story, about this. I'm not telling that. I'm telling the people's story. People happen to be Jewish. People happen to be African American. People happen to be this and that. And that's what I'm trying. My point is I'm trying to get. We're so fixed on hyphenations, and I want someone to come at me. I want someone woke to come at me, make my day, and say I can't talk about anti-Semitism. Although I will tell you one thing. I did pitch it early on to this theater company, which I will not identify. I told them the paragraph, the artistic director, the Jewish theater company, wrote me back and said, I will not do any plays about anti-Semitism that are not written from a perspective of a Black, indigenous person of color.
Wait a minute.
And I just looked at it.
Wow. So this is a Jewish theater company, Jewish artistic director saying he's sick of plays by Jews about anti-Semitism. He wants plays only by BIPOC people about anti-Semitism.
Yes, because if it affects, if one of the characters is BIPOC and anti-Semitic, they can only write it. And it was like, I wouldn't even write him back and dignify it. You know, there's an interesting thing when you're dealing with anti-Semitism. I don't know how, you know, we could just touch briefly on that. As often as not, you bump up against the other Jews.
Well, I bump up against other Jews all the time, usually single women in their 30s.
I know, I've been seeing those comments online, yes. Well, try again, Rabbi.
Rabbi, what about the play? Rabbi, what about the play Broken Glass, right?
Well, what about it? The woman wants to pass, or the guy wants to pass. Tell us.
The biggest person who's anti-Semitic are the characters who are the most Semitic.
Oh, this is an Arthur Miller play, one of Martin Miller's later plays that was done on Broadway, and you've got people who are, what should we say? There's a doctor that they're high level, upper middle class, even lower rich class Jews, and they're the ones who have the most anti-Semitic feelings against Jews, against the Ashkenazics, the ones who come the second wave of the boat folks.
Well, so, they coined the phrase "kike."
Did they? It was
really? Coined by German Jews.
I thought that came. I thought that came in from. I've heard so many different.
But I heard. I mean, what I heard.
From. It was about when they had to make make an X.
Yeah, I heard. That's what I've always thought.
Right,
but
tell your version.
Yeah, the German, when the Ashkenazi, my people, came over and they were embarrassed. They had already been assimilated, the German Jews, and that's how they referred to us. You know, you can even go back recently. It's not that long ago that for a German Jewish family to marry an Ashkenazi was a shanda. You were marrying beneath.
There's internal, you know, we all fear the new crop coming in.
Well, always, but you know, it's the depiction of Jews in entertainment. Think about you mentioned my play, A Tomato Can't Grow in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Which is about a working class Jewish family in 1968. Okay, and opened. It sent to players in Freehold, New Jersey. And we sold that, and we're going to be opening at the Chain Theater in December.
Oh.
Okay. Yes. Now, but when we opened, we played in New Jersey. Okay, we had talkbacks. Now these are tough Jews. These are the Jews I grew up with in the Bronx. Okay. People in the audience said, gee, I didn't know there were tough Jews. My mother-in-law said that. She's Italian. She said, I thought only Italians were like this. I said, what? I said, you want to ask 100 million Arabs about tough Jews? I mean, right? But Rabbi, who depicts us? Who creates that? It's the Jews in entertainment. Like you talk about, we're usually portrayed as orthodontists, as nebushes, or as victims. Think about, okay, this is anecdotal, okay, but I'm going to guess that the dramatic play that has been performed the most in the world is probably The Diary of Anne Frank.
Oh.
I'm just going to get close.
All right, maybe.
In the last 30 years, what is the most well-known Jewish-themed movie? Schindler's List.
Right, yes.
So
victim, you're saying.
Yeah, how often do you see Jews? I mean, I think there was a mini-series in early 2000s about the Warsaw Ghetto, but there should be a lot more, or about Jewish freedom fighters. The Holocaust is always about us being led to slaughter or being saved.
Thank God, at least there's documentaries about Bernie Madoff. Now there's a guy. This guy can take shit.
Yes,
this is the guy who made it rain, baby. Oh, but yeah.
It's the Jews who do that. It's the Jews who. It's now. Does this go back to, you want to say this goes back to early Hollywood, when 6 of the 7 studios were run by Jews, and they understandably did not want to raise their head too high because of the levels of anti-Semitism. But it's grown so much. I mean, the only person who took on Hitler in the movie industry in the 30s was Charlie Chaplin. Everyone probably figured he was a Jew. The movie Mortal Storm with Jimmy Stewart and Margaret Sullivan never mentioned Jews. It was just non-Aryans. In fact, this is an interesting anecdote. Gentleman's Agreement. Remember the Gregory Peck movie won an Oscar? I looked this up recently because I was just curious. The Jews in Hollywood tried to stop that from being made 2 years after the Holocaust. And they said the only way we could do this is if we let Studio Fox, run by a Gentile, Darryl F. Zanuck, do it. And it's not
censor ourselves. We're afraid.
Yes.
You know, the poppy can't grow higher than the Goyish poppies. And sometimes it's ridiculous. Sometimes we over-censor ourselves beyond even what the Goyim care about. We can do what we want to do. We can have Borat. Okay, you know,
no one cares. Yeah. They don't care. I mean, we're accepted in culture and entertainment. No one's saying, oh, no, my God. No one. It's just, but we do that. Well, and you see less and less plays about Jews. My play on Tomato.
There is still a level of exclusion for us. Like next season on Broadway, they're going to be reviving A Raisin in the Sun. I tried out for the Mama so many times.
You're perfect. You're perfect.
Oh, do not give your money to that bad man who's going to gamble it away. I was so good. But did they hire me, the bastards? Not even for an understudy, not even for a cover, because of course they're all going to get COVID, and I'll get to go on and make my Broadway debut. Nothing, not a fucking thing. God damn them. But anyway, we're talking with Gary Morgenstein about a lot of things, and certainly a lot of Jewish things, about his play, A Black and White Cookie, which, now, is everybody okay with the COVID? Because we're supposed to start on the 9th. It's happening on the 9th, on the 14th.
Yes. Everything's fine. Thank God. I am blessed with a wonderful cast. If I could just please say Russell Jordan as Harold, Jay Dolan Burns as Albie, Rosalind Seal as Carol, Marina Rebecca Chant as Jan Pham, and Matt Provenza as Mitchell Reed under the incomparable directing of Marcello Rolando. I'm just, to do theater in these times, it's crazy. And they have such, apart from their wonderful talents, just dedication and the perseverance that we all are going through this, but we want to have theater, live theater.
This is off-Broadway, so they're getting a nice big paycheck. Let's not.
If they show up for the run, I mean, once I got the money, I can go buy a summer home now. Yeah.
But it's running at a place called The Tank. I've been there. It isn't actually a tank. It's a nice building. It's a nice theater, and cozy too, which is over on 8th Avenue and 36th Street. Get your tickets at thetanknyc.org. Thetanknyc.org. But as long as we have you, I can't, so many things to talk about. Let's completely change the discourse, because you are a novelist and you've lucked into, or just sort of naturally gravitated into, this sub-genre of horror sci-fi fiction that has to do with dystopian baseball. Obviously, you're a baseball fan, but how did this come about?
Well, I wanted to write it's a Mount Over Hell and a Fastball for Freedom are the first two books of the trilogy. And a few years ago, my wife and I were having Sunday breakfast. This is how things happen. This is how the sausage is made. Having Sunday breakfast, everything bagels.
Sausage. You can't say sausage.
No, everything bagel with a schmear.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Listening to the Beatles. And the idea popped into my head. What about America, which has lost World War III, with a dystopian society run by grandma, where baseball faces its final season ever? And I said, well, that's pretty good. Now, schmuck, you got to write, 600 pages. That's easy. So it begins in 2098, after America and the West has lost World War III to the Islamic Empire. And we're surrounded. And we have a new society run by the family. So it is post-capitalism. It is post-socialism. It is post-woke. And it is a blend of everything. For example, the society is based on families, on friendship, on real relationships. So social media is banned under the anti-narcissism laws.
But because now I'm kind of, is it a bad thing or a good thing? Because
I let the reader decide. Because people are happier there are issues, but there's more of a consensus. So crime is less, but you have less choices. It's when you write, it's not up to me to tell you if it's good or bad, Rabbi. You decide whether you.
Oh, I don't want to decide anything.
You have to decide this.
That's why I read the Torah and the Gemara and the Mishnah. It tells me, oh, can I eat this 5.5 hours after I eat this with dairy? Fuck, no, I gotta wait. All right, goddamn it.
That's it. So there go the blintzes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a positive and negative view, but I'm hoping baseball wins out in the end.
Well, baseball it embodies the old America, because there's nothing preordained that America will always be free, that we always have a democracy. I mean, where is that written?
Ask all the great last fucking week from the Supreme Court. So
that's right. There you go. So we don't know what's going to happen unless we fight for it. But what about an America which has lost its will? And how do we get through it? And at the end of the day, it's about characters. And that's why people go to theater. That's why people read novels. You can go to the movies and see all the ridiculous CGI of a half-hour superhero fight where no one gets hurt, okay? That's a lot of fun. But with literature, it's ordinary people who become extraordinary heroes, who don't just want to live, who just want to get along. Like everyone in the world basically just wants really kind of the same thing. Few people wake up in the morning and say, I want to kill, I want to mayhem.
I wake up that way.
Oh, well, I want to kill. Apart from you, but
I
maybe
wake
on
up
the
in
Sabbath,
a murderous rage, and I just get worse from there. I do.
That's what people want.
The process of writing, because you've
Yes.
been a writer for many years, but
Yes.
have you hadn't written full-length books before, had you?
Yes, I just finished my 7th novel, yes.
Oh my God, so what were some of your early books?
Well, the first couple novels were baseball. One was called Take Me Out to the Ball Game. The other was called The Man Who Wanted to Play Center Field for the New York Yankees. And actually, I tried out for the Yankees back in the 80s as a publicity stunt.
What?
They used to have something called open tryouts. I'll email you the YouTube link.
Okay, but yeah, I want to share this with people. So you tried out. There's
something called open tryouts in the mid 80s. So you were 18 to 30. You could try out for the Yankees. And in my novel, the main character tries out for the Yankees against signed as a publicity stunt. So I called the Yankees. I said, can I try out? They said, yeah, just don't get hurt. I said, well, I would like to avoid that. Now, I was terrible because when I was 15, I couldn't hit a curveball. The night before, I prayed to God. I said, look, Mickey Mantle's not using his talent anymore. Can you just share it for one morning, please, just for an hour? But he said, I got other things to worry about than you. I mean, enough already. But I stood at home plate at the old Yankee Stadium and swung and missed. And I was in center field, and they hit a single, so I charged it and I actually made the throw to third base. But I was there. It's the heaven. As a kid growing up who grew up 6 blocks from Yankee Stadium, this was.
You must be enjoying this. I mean, not to get off the topic, but you must be having a very good time this year watching baseball.
Incredible. It's just amazing.
It's way too early to say, but are they like the '98 Yankees?
We'll see.
No two wants to say, you don't want to give a Kananga Hara. We're almost halfway. I'm going to say, they're just as good, or they're deeper.
No. And then we have the evil eye. When I was a baby, the story goes, my mother and grandmother were pushing me in the stroller on a Webster Avenue in the Bronx. And this woman leaned into the carriage and said, oh, he has such beautiful blue eyes. And then I got pink eye because my grandmother said the woman was a witch. This is the Bronx back in the day. This is what,
Oh, by the way, our helper there is doing little visual cues there. Can you see that? The little eyeballs? Do you see those? No. Or do only I see those?
I'm just focusing on you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what you should do. A well-trained Jew does, by the way. What is your Hebrew name, by the way? Is it Gerele?
Avram.
Avram.
I don't, I think, again, the story is that the families could not agree what my name should be. So my grandfather said, call him Avram. It makes no sense to anything. That was my family anyway. Very little ever made sense.
I get this. Let me ask you, what's the first play that you ever remember seeing?
Oh, I think it was Death of a Salesman.
A theatrical
Death of a Salesman.
That was do you remember it was in person? Who did you?
Oh, it was, I think it was Dustin Hoffman.
Oh but I saw that you might not a little kid seeing that.
No,
You've been in
no,
your
I didn't.
20s,
I grew up in a working class family where when the lights flickered, you didn't bother to change the bulb.
I
It
got
was so the most important thing we got library cards. But I was not, it wasn't until I was in my late 20s that I actually went to theater. I had very little of the culture that many other people did. I played, baseball, stickball and, touch football.
So since you mentioned this, actually, it occurs to me now. We both saw the Dustin Hoffman Death of a
Yes.
Salesman. How did you feel about this very nebbishy Jewish representation of Willie Loman, as opposed to Lee J. Cobb, who was like, "Oh, gotta go sell some stuff and spit shine on my shoes," and Dustin Hoffman like, "I'm back from the road,"
Hoffman is such a wonderful actor that he just fills the room anyway with his presence. But I would have liked to have seen Lee J. Cobb. I think I saw a CinemaScope or something was around, I think. At a certain point you remember and you think you saw it and you're not sure if you made it up, if you told someone to impress them, but I think I saw that.
Now,
but
what was...
Arthur Miller,
Sorry.
He was one of my heroes, Arthur Miller, as a writer. Arthur Miller, Patty Chayefsky.
Well, he wrote a book about anti-Semitism too, called, was it Focus, or How to Focus, or something like that?
Who?
He wrote a novel.
Chayefsky?
No, Arthur Miller.
Yes. But he did not write plays overtly Jewish.
Right.
Always. I mean, Patty Chayefsky, two of his most well-known, besides Network, Marty, about an Italian butcher in the Bronx, A Catered Affair, about an Irish family. I mean, it's interesting.
Well, he wrote The 10th Man. He did write The 10th Man.
Yes, after later in his
later
on, there was a lot of, and I'm not faulting them because I'm sure it was very difficult at that time. When you talk about changing your name, you're talking about the blacklist. And of course, they were going to, look at the Jewish writers perhaps a little more carefully than other writers. So I don't, minimize that's why I revere people like a Philip Roth or Saul Bellow, who people were just too bad. Here I am.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Now,
do
you remember the first time you tried to write a creative work, be it a play or a novel or a short story, not as a little kid in school, like in creative writing class, but really set down as a human grown-up? I'm gonna write something. Yeah.
My senior year in college, I wrote a science fiction novel called A Giant Step Back. It actually almost got published by Doubleday, but I just missed. Almost, But as I'm told, my first creative public outburst was when I was in first grade, and my mother was called by the teacher, and already she's frantic. And the teacher said, through the old-fashioned grilled windows in the school, my mother's looking through the window, and the teacher says, "See, look what your son is doing, and we don't want to stifle him." And there I am with pencils, making up a story with the pencils as characters. And the teacher says, "I want him to do this, but all the kids are watching him and not me." So that, my family, there were some whispers, maybe he should be sent to the country. He's a little weird, but,
And of course, they thought you were homosexual.
Whatever. It's bad enough I was the fat kid who played with pencils in grade school. So I was very popular, you could imagine. Everyone wanted to be my friend.
Now, let me
up, yeah.
Speaking of also creative endeavors, that I wanted to also know, did you actually contribute in some way to one or more than one Sharknado movie?
I was the mad PR genius behind Sharknado. When I was director of PR at Sci-Fi, I was the guy who almost no one believed in it, and it was my bailiwick to do the original movies, the very cheesy original movies.
Yeah.
And in fact, the story is Sharknado, this is 2013. In June of 2013, Sharknado was almost canceled because there was a series of tornadoes that hit the Midwest, and the host of the Discovery tornado chasers were killed. So my masters said, maybe we shouldn't show this because it might seem offensive. I said, well, wait a minute. Sharknado is about tornadoes in Los Angeles, which have never happened, lifting sharks out of the ocean and dumping them on the ground. I really, really don't think anyone is going to say how, offensive and insensitive we are. And they said, it better not backfire. So going into Sharknado, Ian Ziering would do no publicity. The only reason he took the role was to keep up his health insurance at SAG. So, and Pete, I was getting some buzz because it's such a ridiculous name. But people, I got publicity and people saying, well, it better not backfire, it better not backfire. I was like, whatever, don't challenge me because now I'm really going forward. The night of the premiere, the internet exploded. You had Mia Farrow with Philip Roth saying they're watching Sharknado. You had the American Red Cross saying, in the event of a Sharknado, you must do this. It was insane. The next morning, I went to a friend's house to borrow her suitcase. I was going to San Diego Comic-Con. She said, did you see the Today Show today? I said, no. She said, well, they just did a piece on Sharknado and they're going to do another one soon. I said, what? She said, what did you just say? And I sat down, I was like, it was the busiest day of my career. I could maybe pee once. TMI, that's about it.
I pee once an hour, let me tell you. And I don't always get up from my chair.
They were going to have to bring me something. It was all over the country, all over the world. People were calling. Finally, by the end of for interviews and blah, blah, blah. Finally, by the end of the day, I was a little grumpy. I was tired. I hadn't peed in 5 hours. I'm getting tired. I'm hungry. So Nightline calls. They said, we want to do a piece. Nightline. I said, are you sure? They said, yeah. I said, there was just a military coup in Egypt and you want to do Sharknado? They said, yeah. I said, oh, whatever. I give up. And then for several years, it was insane. And I have cameos in Sharknado 2 and Sharknado 3. To me, the best one, the one with the real soul was Sharknado 2, filmed in New York, right? That was just, and now this funny story. Okay, so because of contract delays and this and that, Sharknado, the movie finally started filming in February. Did anyone maybe think we're doing a movie that's supposed to be set in the summer and we're filming in New York in February? No one seemed to be even consider this, okay? So originally-
Because it's Sharknado!
Yeah. Exactly, well, that was my spin. Okay, so in the script, the Sharknado was supposed to hit Yankee Stadium. The Yankees would not let that happen. Well, you can't destroy our stadium. Being pressured. Okay, the Mets said, sure, destroy Citi Field. Sei gesund, have fun. So we set the shooting schedule, sets up. It's 15 degrees. And we had all our extras. The call was, it's summertime. Come in your shorts and flip-flops. So we had people turning blue and setting up heaters and everything. So that's when I said to people, okay, we're going to have to spin this and say, because it's Sharknado, they changed the weather.
Oh, brilliant. And it worked.
But what's interesting is, and I worked at Sci-Fi Channel, which is part of NBC Universal. So at first you had some resistance, like Al Roker was great. He's such a mensch. Matt Lauer, not so much.
We know.
He was a little, as we know, that's not my business. But what's interesting is, at first when we were going to film on the Today Show, Matt Lauer was, I don't know. And then he got so into it. And people just wanted to keep being it in the show, in the movies. What happened was, after the third one, John Kennedy said, victory has 1,000 fathers, but defeat is an orphan. Sharknado had 1,000 fathers.
Of course.
So everyone, after people snickering at me at meetings, oh, Gary and his original movies and Sharknado, everyone wanted cameos. So they kind of overloaded it.
Yeah.
And it was a little,
Mad Sharknado world. Yeah.
And because we had things were incredible, like Mark Cuban was the president. When would a reality show host become president of the United States? Are you kidding me? What?
Oh, only when we've gone completely to hell, let me tell you. No, Gary. This is, I wish I could ask more about Sharknado, more about your time at Sci-Fi Network. The only problem is, I have to go to my shul. I gotta go pray and
please,
holler
pray
at people.
for us.
But you can stay. Please do, because Dave, who is the host of this program, is gonna come back in a moment. And he's going to welcome people to play our weekly trivia game. It's called Today, Yesterday Trivia. And of course, you get to stay and play as well. I'm going to have my special music to take me out of here, but I want to thank you. I want to tell everybody, a black and white cookie running July 14th through the 24th at the Tank on West 36th Street, thetanknyc.org. Don't go away, Gary. Don't go away, or I should say Avram. Don't go away. It's more to come on Dave's Gone By.
Shabbat Shalom.